Make sure you grab different color spray paints, different size thread edges, and everyday household items like cups or lids. My name is Arturo Lopez, and I created Spraycasso Studios back in 1999. I have then continued to show people diverse ways of creating master paintings in just a few minutes using nothing more than just spray paints and everyday household items. The beauty of this art is that you don't have to have a steady hand or know how to draw. All it requires is a little bit of imagination and some dedication. So join us, and you too can become a Spraycasso master. I will walk you through diverse techniques of creating beginner level paintings, intermediate level paintings and techniques, advanced level paintings, and we'll take your skills even further to master level paintings. So if you guys are ready to embark into a new art adventure, then grab your spray paints and materials. Let's get started. Hi crew, welcome back to another Spraycasso show. This is going to be the painting we're going to be doing in today's tutorial. There's something very unique about this painting, as I'm going to show you guys right now. First of all, I'm going to start using some colors here that are a little bit out of the ordinary, right? We're going to start some colors that you might have not seen on the painting, in other words. So I'm going to start off with some orange, a little bit of yellow, and then some red. Now the reason I'm making this tutorial is because, guys, you would not believe how many emails I got about people asking me like worst case scenarios, right? For example, what if I'm doing a painting, then halfway through it I change my mind and the painting, completely just takes a different turn. What do I do? Do I start all over again, or do I keep working? Well, guys, I've always told you guys that everything and anything is correctable in spray paints. Now, it may not seem like it at the beginning, especially when you're a beginner, but I hope to maybe share a little bit of information here. So here I'm using a couple of layers, alright? So I have my orange, my red, my yellow underneath, added a neutral color, which is the white, and then I colored the white with a little bit of blue. This is going to be my sky. Top layer is going to be some black. This is going to be some plant life. I'm going to use a little bit of green here, right about here, right on top of this black. You don't want to make the entire black line here green. Just add a little bit. Now, this is the famous wet on wet technique, right? We're removing the top layers to show some of these bright colors underneath. So we remove the neutral color, the white, the blue, and kind of make some of those really vibrant colors that we have underneath, really show up. And basically, guys, this is just a really awesome way to create a painting. You can create entire paintings. You just have to keep in mind what colors you have underneath. But here I just want to create some trees, alright? So we're going to do that. We're going to create a couple of trees here, one here. Alright, guys, in this next scene, I'm just going to use a little bit of orange, a little bit of brown right there, and a little bit of black on top of that. I'm going to create a terrain. Now, as you can tell, I've already went ahead and I used the Spraycasso tool to scratch some of the trees down below here on this, reflective water. It was supposed to be water, but keep in mind, guys, that there's different ways of creating terrain. This is more advanced, so for you beginner level students, there's other ways. I definitely encourage you to try it, though, if you haven't tried it before. It's going to be a little bit tougher, but it'll be more realistic. Alright, now like I was saying, I went ahead and I created the trees down below. I'm just going to try and make some of this terrain here on this bottom part look like it's reflecting off from the sky. Now keep in mind, guys, that this painting is a sample of what ifs, right? What if everything goes wrong? Now, I don't know if you guys have already noticed, I'm sure you have, but this is a big no-no in the world of painting. You want your water to reflect the colors that are up above in the sky. In this case, they don't match. Remember, we did that on purpose. I'm adding lighter colors. Added a little bit of orange, a little bit of brown. I didn't add black on this one, so the colors are going to be a little bit lighter, as you can see. And I'm just adding a different layer. This is terrain that's closer to us. I've taught you many different ways of creating terrain. The beginner level terrain, which is found in space sceneries, is you add a layer of green, for example, and then add some black on top of it. Then you remove the black and you have the green coming out. Then you add a little bit of black underneath that, and this is just like I said, guys, a more advanced way of creating terrain. Maybe if you follow me here, you can already kind of see where there's going to be a little bit of a creek showing up. Just going to add a little bit of black here. Alright, and this is going to darken my terrain. See, no need to spray the black on the painting. This is the closest thing we use to brushes when it comes to spray painting. Remember guys, we don't use brushes, we use magazine sheets and sea sponge. That's it. Alright, so I'm just creating different levels of terrain here. Just giving some more depth to the painting, some highlights as well. Alright crew, as you can see, the terrain that you created gives your painting a lot of depth. Well, using a small straight edge and a little bit of blue, I'm creating the water line. Now this is what's going to be required to make your painting look like it's reflecting the bottom colors on the sky. Yeah, make a reflection. With a little bit of white, you want to really define these lines. You know, this is where the water breaks. Okay, just a little bit right there on that creek, and a couple other lines here throughout the bottom reflection, just to make it more realistic, like there's ripples. The concept is simple, right guys? Whatever you do to one, you have to do to the other. Make it look more realistic. We're going to add some ripples here. Except for the ripples, guys. You don't want to add ripples to the sky. Alright, just a couple of random ripples here. What you're going to want to do is create some tree leaves now. So we're going to add a little bit of black and green. Not necessarily in that order. A little bit of green here. I'm going to add some black up above. And you know what? I'm going to add some white here on the bottom. That way I can go from a full spectrum of really dark tree leaves to a light green. Now this painting so far is borderline advanced, leaving intermediate, only because we're using some more advanced land terrains. Reflection is very complicated, so you know that takes it up a notch. And now we're going into tree leaves. So we're just gonna add a few tree leaves here. Now this is black mixed with green, so it's like a really dark black green. I know sometimes these videos don't give it as much vibrant color or the credit that it deserves, but it's pretty dark green. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more green. The beauty about the sea sponge is that it does absorb a lot of this paint, which allows you to go further, you know, for longer periods of time doing your tree leaves or bushes or you know whatever you're using the sponge for. The grass technique is very awesome too. I'm just gonna make some random tree leaves here. Now remember guys, you're gonna try and mimic that on the bottom as well. Just gonna add some random bushes here overlapping some of our trees. That just gives it more realism, you know. Alright guys, now this is gonna be definitely a master level technique that I use, and this is where I go over some of the tree leaves that I've already placed down, some of the plant life as well. In this case I'm using green. This will give your trees more life, it'll make them look fuller, and you may not see it here, but as we move on to our tutorial we're going to see how it gives your painting more vibrant colors, and very necessary to make your paintings look more realistic as well. Alright crew, so far we have the trees, right? We're gonna add another layer. Remember, everything in spray painting is based on layers. So we worked on the trees in the background first, then we worked on the sky, then we added some rocks, then the water. Now we're adding some trees. This is gonna be another tree layer. So this tree layer overlaps all the other layers. Okay. Now, as you practice with the spraycasso funnel, it'll get a lot easier to make thinner lines, thicker lines, more complex designs as well. And we'll definitely get into that. Okay, I'm going to add another tree right here, still in the same layer. Okay, add some branches. Now, this is what differentiates a master level painting from a beginner level painting, from an intermediate level painting. Is the amount of layers, and do they go together? You know, did you take under account the light source? All of that, guys. Sometimes you have to account on the light source. 2 layers into the painting, and if it's gonna be I don't know, 10, 17 layered painting, and you're already accounting for that light, that's what makes a difference between a beginner level painting and a master level painting. This painting is going to get a little bit more complicated as we move on. Now I added a little bit of white, made the brown not as brown as the other layer before. And I don't know if you guys can see the difference. Sometimes, you know, the camera doesn't give it justice, but it's a little bit lighter. And this layer is going to overlap the previous layer of trees. Okay. So how many layers have we used so far? Let's see. We added the layer where it was orange, red, and yellow, right? So that's three layers right there. Then we made it into one layer by adding a neutral color on top of that. So let's just count it as one layer. Neutral colors 2. We added the sky. Then we made the trees. So I don't know, it gets a little complicated. I kind of want to count that as one layer. So far that's 3 layers. And then we added the rocks, that's 4 layers. And then we added another set of rocks, that's 5. Added some plant life, that's 6. Added the tree leaves, 7. You know, reflection. Oh, it just keeps going on. So see, it gets to be quite a few layers. So it's kind of good to keep that in mind. I know sometimes it's impossible. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I think of every layer before I make it. No, never works out that way. Sometimes I get lucky, and some of the previous layers that I added below, you know, accounts for a light source. And of course, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm like, yeah, I meant to do that. Every single one of those I meant to do. All right, so this is where it gets good. This is where we start messing up. I mean, more. Not only does the sky is not orange and yellow and red, but you know, we added a new layer of trees, and so we want that reflection to show up. Okay, so here, this is my attempt of kind of showing you guys, you know, worst case scenarios. You want to try a reflection technique which I've used in the past. You said, hey, you know what, he made this look easy, so we can sure as heck do it. And it'll look good by the time we're done. May not look like it now, but man, it looked good on that video. So well, I'll tell you what, let's use a little bit of blue. That's what we need, blue. So we're gonna add some blue here. You know, that spraycasso guy says anything is fixable, so add some blue right there, maybe a little bit over there. We can't forget our white though. We need to break the blue, you know, make sure we can distinguish where the water line starts. So just gonna do some random lines here. You're saying, well, yeah, you know what, I don't know, Cletus, this don't look quite right. I'm gonna try and smear this a little bit more. He did something like this. Well, dang, I'll tell you what, that name ain't going all over the place, man. It ain't working. It ain't working. What do we do? Well, guys, you know what? I stick to what I said. You know, everything is fixable. You may have to change your technique here a little bit more, which is not too bad, because you know what? At the end, you wanted to. You needed to. I mean, the skies didn't match. Obviously, your reflection was not working quite good. So, as long as you guys keep trying, you know what? That's a big plus right there. I mean, the moment you stop, that's when this painting has become a waste of time. So here I went ahead and I added a little bit of white, some blue, right? I'm still trying to mix it together. I do want to cover some of these layers underneath that shows the orange, the white. You know, those layers don't even match my sky, so I want to hide them pretty good. Just gonna add a little bit of blue, and then I'm gonna add some white on top of that. This is a technique that I showed. See, even the beginner level techniques come in very useful, even in the master level paintings. So here, going back to the basics, create the water, and this technique to create the water is pretty unique. It's pretty awesome. It makes your water look like oils, like it was done with oils. If you guys have ever practiced or, you know, played around with oils before, your water usually comes out looking like this. So I'm mixing some of that white into that blue in the bottom, Now we do have a different color tint here on top because we have some brown, we have some orange as well. Just keep adding blue, guys, maybe a little bit of white, blend it in to the color that you want, as you can see here. Now here on my straight edge, I went ahead and added a little bit of white, some blue on top of that, and using the spraycasso tool, we're going to go ahead and create a little waterfall. This, I don't know if you guys remember, it used to be a little creek. Now it's going to be a waterfall. It's one of the benefits of the spraycasso tool, guys. I've been asked this question a lot. Why is it that some people use a palette knife and some people use the spraycasso tool? Well, keep in mind that when spray painting first came out, the first generation of spray painters used to use razor blades to create similar effects to what I'm using here. So using the knowledge of the old, I don't know, you guys probably don't know this, but I'm an engineer. I design stuff, right? And product design is my specialty. I took ergonomics under consideration and made this tool. Hey, it won't cut you. I've been cut plenty of times with razor blades. So, leave the palette knives and for oil painting. Trust me, guys, this works a lot better. You can create more techniques this way. I'm not just saying that. I'll show you guys how to create your own spraycasso tool. Anyways, I'm just gonna use a little bit of clear coat here and blend in that new blue that I just placed here on the waterfall. I'm just gonna smear it back and forth until it blends into your painting. Now I know there's some darker lines here, guys. Don't worry, keep blending it in. Use some more clear coat, maybe tap your finger into the paint and blend it in. Or you can use the straight edge and use a little bit of white. Now in this next part, we're going to go ahead and add another layer. We're going to add a layer of terrain. So we're adding a little bit of brown, some orange, and then with a magazine sheet, we're just going to come right on top of that and add this layer on top of our water. Just like that. Now we're going to use the same rules that we used before, right? We want to use a little bit of white to kind of break the land terrain with the water. So I'm just going to add a little bit of brown here. Perhaps a little bit more up here. Okay, use your imagination, guys. But notice how this painting started off completely different than what it's turning out to be. Guys, just because there's a few little mess-ups, you don't have to start all over again. Use your imagination. Use some of these techniques I've been showing you for a couple of years now. Right here, maybe we can create a little landslide. Now we went ahead and added a few more layers of trees, right? After we've made our terrain. Now I'm adding some more plant life here. Now this is using green and yellow, and this will give us a very lime green type of color here, which is very awesome when creating highlights. I'm already preparing for a sunburst through some of these tree leaves, so that's why there's quite a bit of highlights right here in this area. Notice how they're mostly located on one place. I'm going to use the same technique, a little bit of yellow and green, to create some highlights on these trees up here. This is where the master techniques start coming into place. This is because you're preparing to move into another layer that's coming up. Okay, so I'm just going to add a couple more right here. Now here we're adding the sunburst layer. Now, as you can already see, there's already some white, some lime and green on the tree bushes in the back. So that's prepared before we even added our sunburst, as well as some of the highlights on the plant life down below. That's what's going to make your sunburst look more realistic. Alright, so we're going to do something else here. Now as you can see, there's already some light being reflected off some of these trees, right? That's the light and dark technique. Well, I'm going to do something else. You guys ready for this? I'm going to add another layer of trees. Yes. Guys, remember, I mean, the more realistic you can make your paintings, the better. And obviously when a viewer takes a look at this painting, they're going to see that there's light in the background, there's highlights, there's also a lot of depth. They're going to see how take a look at some of these tree leaves back here, tree branches, excuse me, right where the funnel is. You see how they stick out? Not only do they stick out, but they they have this really bright look to them because we actually sprayed some yellow, a little bit of white on top of them. So, you know, it blends in really good, guys. And that's what makes a master level painting. When you take the time, add plenty of layers, make it as realistic as you possibly can. And, well, we're just going to add a little bit more brown here. Okay, we're just going to keep adding some layers. Make it look as realistic as possible. Do keep in mind that there are some layers that are going to be closer to you. They're going to be darker. Perhaps, you know, they're not going to have as much light to them. So this is something to keep in mind. All right. Added a little bit of black as well into the mix. Make a darker, darker brown tree. Keep in mind that the light is not hitting this layer as much as it's hitting some of the layers in the back. So here we go. And you know, I've been asked this a lot. How do you make your line so fine with this spraycasso funnel? It takes practice, guys. You'll learn how to tip your can just right so that not, you know, a gallon of paint comes out, but just enough. Some of the spraycasso funnels that I'm selling on the website that are made out of plastic, there's a little there's like little places where you can put your fingers and close the tip a little bit more so you can regulate how much paint comes out. Those are great too. Or, you know, I've made tutorials and showing you how to make your own. You guys definitely don't have to, you know, buy the spraycasso stuff that we make. You can make your own. As you can see, the one that I'm using here is one that I made all of them, but I mean, this one I made for myself. And as you can tell, there's a lot of duct tape. You know, get a nice thick piece of cardboard or stock board and, you know, work with it. Turn it into a funnel. Alright, so we're going to add another tree right here. I don't know if you guys can see, but I actually messed up a little bit. There's actually a little bit of the tree coming out of the painting. That's okay, you know. I'm making a layer overlap this secondary layer right below. See that? Okay. Awesome. Alright, now in this next one, we're just going to go ahead. As you can see, there's already some plant life around the trees. See that? There's a little bit of green. Did the little water tinting technique. Added some highlights on some of these rocks. You see those bright orange rocks? Well, what I did is I just tapped into a little bit of orange with a magazine sheet. Placed it on top of the rocks. Very simple technique. Some of these little bit of grass under here on the water that's overlapping the water line. That was done using the grass technique. Use a little bit of black, a little bit of green, and then you want to make sure you break the water line. You don't want your water line to be like, you know, people can tell that you use the straight edge. You want to break it a little bit. Alright, so I'm just going to use a little bit of white and blue. Hopefully that'll give me baby blue, right? Light blue. Okay, I'm just going to tip it a little bit. Yes, the spraycasso is security as well. No, this is just a shirt that I don't mind getting some paint on. So with a little bit of the sea sponge, you don't need a lot. Check this little effect out. Just use it a little bit right there. And you can create some water ripples. See, I've already made some over here. I don't know, this can be a lot of fun. If you guys haven't tried this before, I haven't showed you guys this before, so I encourage you guys to give this a try. As you can see, the sea sponge works really, really good for this technique, and for a lot of others. I mean, you guys have seen me use this to create tree leaves, bushes, grass strands, highlights, hair. I've even done hair. I've done portraits before. In fact, maybe one of these tutorials that's coming out is going to be a portrait. It's going to be a surprise, so I'll show you guys how to do that as well. Anyways, sea sponge, guys, please don't use a sock or a tablecloth or something rough. Sea sponge works a lot better. Trust me, guys. I've tried everything. I have tried it. I'm not just saying no. I've tried it. So it works really good. All right. All right. Let's take an overall view on the painting that we've created so far. As you can see, there's plenty of layers. You guys, I think I lost count after 27 layers. There's a lot of layers. There's some trees that are really close to us that have the light and dark technique. That's where you can see the light on one area and the dark on the other. Makes it look really 3D. But there you go, folks. There's nothing you can't fix. So please don't just stop. Try and fix it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys watch my next tutorial. It's coming up here pretty soon. I'm working on it right now. Alright folks, until next time, keep those cans shaking.